All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13, as we are about to get underway here for Stint 3 out of 12 for TORA's 24 Hours of Daytona 2026 edition. This one, lad in the Porsche, is going to start on the pole, as that was the car that won Stint 1. Basically, the entire order for this grid in Stint 3 is going to be the finishing results at the end of Stint 1. So it's going to be this one, lad, followed by H-Wire Iris, DMS Phantoms, Queen Biba, AFMG Vorm, who's gone 3 stints in a row, I believe now, TBR Stratum, Senna Rinico, H-Wire Derluki, AMS Kimpachi Rampasama, AFZ Cypher, Rama 1094 and 6, and Sinerius. For the prototype category, for GTs, will be TBR Moki, Boiled Bird, LMP Rockchalk, BFL Striker, DMS Sleepy, and BFL Colin. And that will be our 18-car grid as we are preparing to get underway momentarily here. The big name of the game has been figuring out the ideal strategy. It seems like the 4-stop strategy is the preferred strategy, but the 5 and 6-stop strategies are not bad strategies. It just seems like the 4-stop strategy thus far has had the best balance overall. We have also had completely different winners and completely different orderings between our first 2 stints. So Stint 3 could prove to be very interesting just off the back of that alone. As we are preparing to get underway here to begin our 3rd stint. So while in the prototype category, things have been very all over the place, in GT has been one entry that has won both of the stints, and by massive margins in both stints as well. We'll talk more about that once we get into this a bit. But now we're going to have the Porsche starting up front. Now this Porsche is not going to start anywhere near the front after Stint 2. After Stint 3 once we get to Stint 4, but it's got a front row start, a first place start here in Stint 3. H-Wire Iris. This car brought it home to a solid 3rd place in the last stint. This is DMS Phantoms, which was 3rd in Stint 1, 2nd in Stint 2. Couldn't go one place better and finally win here in Stint 3. Then you'll have Queen Biba. After that will be Vorm and Stratum. After Stratum, you'll see AFZ Cypher and Senna Renico. After that will be Derluki and Kimpachi Rampasamba. Then Rama and Sinerius. Then you'll have Monkey, who's won the first 2 stints. It wasn't this driver, it was this car that won the first 2 stints before. Then it'll be Boiled Bird, Rockchalk, Striker, Sleepy, and Colin. As we prepare to get underway here, green flag, and this one lad, he took a full second off the gun, and Iris is gonna have to try and hold off DMS Phantom as we are underway once again here at Daytona. Just about nose to tail, and now we see that Iris is starting to close back down on one lad. So while one lad opened up a pretty big gap at the initial launch, Iris is already right behind that Porsche and will be in a fantastic position to get a big draft off of that red, yellow, and white Porsche down the straightaways. Phantoms drops off just a little bit. Okay, what can Iris do to one lad? Mazda versus Porsche as they fly down the back straightaway, coming up to the bus stop chicane. Not close enough to make anything happen here, but if one lad makes any sort of mistake, Iris will be right there ready to capitalize. Big slide by one lad coming out of the corner, and that's not the only one. There's at least one other driver got side by side there. That is going to be Queen Biba, who's going to go around the outside and clear DMS Phantoms. This is another entry. Biba's 1-2-3 car has had a very interesting pair of results, a top 5 earlier, and then a fall all the way back to 7th in the 2nd stint. So who knows with this car's actual form is going to be. Iris has hit one lad and knocked one lad off circuit as 2 wide coming out, and now one lad goes back in front. And there's chaos farther back and chaos at the front as well. It's madness throughout the entire field. Derluki pulls up behind Vorm as Phantoms has slipped all the way back to the 7th position. Now we'll get back in front of Stratum goes back to 7th, but Phantoms goes from top 3 all the way down to 6th. Not a great start for him, but it's this one lad leading H-Wire Iris at the head of the field as Queen Biba is holding standing in 3rd, and it is absolute chaos farther back. big dive. Here comes Derluki, the winner of the last stint. Muscles Vorm off the ideal lane. They're going to be side by side on the way out of the corner, and Vorm will slide back in front of Derluki, back into the fourth position. Meanwhile, at the front, Iris has a run on this one lad all over again. Just about nose to tail is Iris going to try and go for a big dive bomb into the bus stop chicane this time. No, still too far back. Not going to go for anything big or crazy this time. Bit of a slide, bit of a twist, gotta run! The Porsche is in the dirt! Around the outside comes Iris, and Iris will take the lead from this one lad! So the Mazda, using superior handling, clears the Porsche as they go through speedway turns 3 and 4, but the Porsche has superior straight line. He's coming back around the outside, should be able to complete the overtake well before they get to the braking zone. He does! One lad leads at the line, Iris is right there in the draft. Does he try to do something going into the hairpin of turn 1, going to try the long way around, not going to work, can't do the crossover, the Porsche positions himself right in front of Iris, nose to tail, and now they fire out of the corner. This one, the Porsche has some incredible acceleration, but the handling just does not seem to be there, and that Mazda does not have the top speed, but has some incredible handling. Through the high-speed bend in the infield now, and then they dive down into the second hairpin corner. Porsche is really wide, and while these two are fighting, Derluki, the winner of the last stint, is closing in on this duo. We could have a menage a trois at the front here. A little bit of French action. Not really French, but whatever. Here at the high banks in Florida, to the inside is Iris, but one lad is on the outside. Drag race between the two of them, but one lad should be able to clear the Mazda without too much issue once they get onto the straightaway. He does! Easily clears Iris. And Derluki has just about caught the draft off of this number 30 now. 3 different manufacturers, Porsche, Mazda, and Aston Martin, the top 3 positions. Again, that Porsche is wide, and this time it's way worse than last time. He has to fall in line behind Iris, but now one lad's going to go back to the outside. Now back to the inside, gets another big draft run. Coming to the outside, we'll get the run coming off of the banking. Again, easy clear. We'll get the lead over Iris just a little earlier this time than they did last time. Again, one lad leads as they go into turn number 1. And Iris now has to deal with Derluki behind. Iris is going to try and diamond off turn 1. We'll get right there behind the rear of the Porsche. One lad very nearly loses it out of the corner. Iris is right there. Iris looks to the inside, dives deep, going into turn number 1. Derluki is there as well. There's 3 wides that come out of there. National Horseshoe. Iris gets the lead. It's sideways. Gotta hold himself up. Gotta hold Derluki up. Here comes one lad side by side back with Derluki. Gets the boot. Gets it done. Now putting the focus back on Iris. Heavy into the break going to the second horseshoe. Derluki goes deep on one lad. Now one lad falls back into the third position, but puts the power down, immediately starts trying to set up for something. Goes through the hairpin, that'll bring them back onto the speedway section. Iris first, Derluki second, one lad third, one lad putting the power down, trying to get back in front of the 2 cars ahead. He's got the power. Derluki has the draft off of Iris. Iris has been the slowest in the straight line out of these 3 cars, but one lad seems to be just a little bit too far back to do anything with it. Nothing crazy here yet. It looks like these 3 are going to calm down just for the moment, but watch when they come out of the bus stop chicane. One lad has a run, quite a run on Derluki. Iris is pulling away just a bit, but one lad has something for Derluki now. Porsche versus Aston Martin. Looking at the outside is one lad. Side by side, he'll easily get second position back, but nowhere close enough to do anything to HYR Iris. Ooh, Iris licked the outside wall going into the braking zone. Iris was wide in turn 1, very wide in turn 1. But one lad has to keep Derluki behind. Derluki's gonna try and cross him over on exit contact between the 2 of them. The Porsche is sideways, will keep the car barely in check, barely on track. Derluki is back in front. It's very obvious that this Porsche is just made to be a straight line monster. It does not have the handling necessary to actually hold on to the lead on merit. So this seems to be a significant setup issue. It's making for some fantastic racing, but for one lad, it's just going to continue to get worse and worse. Iris now has caught traffic. That's TBR Moki. So what's happened to Moki? Is there some sort of issue that caused him to have an accident? Yeah, he's already pitted. I think Moki may have had an accident. We've been so focused here at the front that the dominant car after the first 2 stints is dead last in GT category. And it's not even close. He is way behind the rest of the field. So GT is likely going to see some sort of shakeup now. Meanwhile, it is Iris leading Derluki here. And one lad is now starting to fall back rapidly. The handling of the car is not looking good. Biba trying to keep Vorm behind. Vorm wraps it around the outside and will clear Biba. And here comes Stratum as well. Stratum looking to the outside. Biba does have the draft off of the car ahead, though, to try and help salvage something. Still side by side there for 5th position, and now Biba backs out and Stratum goes around the long way. And now the group comes up on One Lad once again. One Lad all sorts of sideways. It's so obvious that One Lad is in a car that just does not, well, in a setup that does not have anything that he can do. He's wicked fast. He's able to do any fight, but he's just hemorrhaging time. Doesn't matter if he's fine with others or just running solo. I don't see any way that this Porsche finishes anywhere near the front. There's just not the pace and not the stability needed. Your leader is Iris. Derluki runs in second. The question is going to be, how far down the grid is One Lad going to fall? The other question, of course, is what happened to TBR Moki? That is the car that won by massive margins in the first 2 stints. Here comes One Lad. He's trapped on the outside. Stratum is on his inside. But as they're on the straightaway, One Lad has the advantage and will rocket away from Stratum. Stratum is now under threat from AFMG Vorm. Pair of Astons here. No, that's not an Aston. That was a Merc. So a Merc and Aston try to do something against the lone Porsche in the field here. Stratum trying to go the outside, the long way around the Porsche. That's just not going to work. Not unless the Porsche loses all handling. But Stratum still has a draft off of the car ahead. Now coming back across the start-finish line. Reasonable gap between the 3 of them, but this One Lad in that Porsche has to brake so much earlier than these other cars, and he's still struggling to keep it on track. He's wide. He's very wide in turn 1, struggling to put the power down. Power down. He barely keeps the car ahead of Stratum. And that brings Vorm up closer. Stratum is going to get by as that Porsche couldn't take the International Horseshoe, and now One Lad falls to 4th. It's just a slow bleeding out. Well, it's not really that slow, but it's a bleeding out of positions and time for One Lad. May have started up front, but this car is way too straight line speed focused. There's no handling in that car whatsoever. He can power out, of course, no problem, but has not been able to hold station through the corners. Just holding the inside line is such a struggle for this Porsche. Now we see Vorm has a run. Vorm can't make it work. Now they're coming up through traffic in the GT category. One Lad will have a very slight advantage going through category traffic. Typically, cars that have better straight line speed will have the advantage in traffic navigation. One Lad is going to get back into the draft of Stratum. Stratum's being held up by GT traffic. Oh, but One Lad has to back way out of it, and Vorm goes by with no issue. Through the bus stop, One Lad loses another position, and so much time to Stratum and Vorm. Meanwhile, at the front, Derluki has gotten by Iris now. So Derluki picking up where he left off at the end of stint 1, leading. Boiled Bird is pitting in the bottom category. There's engine damage. Not a catastrophic amount, but enough that's going to derail him. And Boiled Bird, who's taken home a podium in one of the earlier stints, knocked out. So now it is BFL Striker who is your leader in the GT category, and they are about to be approached by the prototype leading duo of Iris and Derluki. Iris doesn't have top end, but has great handling. Derluki has a well-balanced car overall. They come out of the second infield hairpin, and now through the hairpin that will bring them back on the speedway turn 1. Derluki's held up by the GTO leader just a little bit, has to take the long way around. Iris follows suit. Gap opens up just a little bit in Derluki's favor, but Iris is close enough to have a draft off of your leader right now. Looks like Vorm has fallen off of One Lad a bit, so One Lad may have stemmed the bleeding as he stabilizes in 4th position. Iris right behind Derluki as they go through the bus stop chicane. And now they rocket back into speedway turns 3 and 4. Iris not likely going to have enough top end to try and forcefully go around the outside of Derluki in turn 1. But if Derluki makes a mistake, hits the wall, goes a little bit too deep, anything like that, Iris should be able to easily go back to the lead. Oh, Iris is going to look to the outside going into the bus stop. Puts the bumper to Derluki's rear. Can't make it stick, though. still right there, just about nose to tail between the two of them. Iris is so good under braking because the car doesn't have nearly as much of a top end. That means they can brake a little bit later. Also means that, in theory, they shouldn't be burning up their tires as much later on. About 13 minutes in, this has been a wild start to this run here. Moki has already made a second stop. So whatever has happened to Moki has gone from bad to worse. He has already being overtaken by prototype traffic, or the prototype leaders, for a second time. So whatever has gone wrong for that lead GTO car has gone really wrong. They were leading by almost 2 laps in distance over their C Lobby rivals, and now they've already lost most of that in the first 15 minutes here in Stint 3. But we continue to focus on Derluki and Iris. Iris runs, continuing to stalk Derluki here. There's also this mess here between Vorm, Biba, and Phantoms. Kenpachi Rampasamba is right there as well. He's got a run here on Phantoms. Phantoms has a run on Biba. Vorm is actually pulled away from this group just a little bit, as Vorm's trying to get some good laps in so he can try and run one lad back down. Kenpachi Rampasamba coming around the outside of Phantoms, neck and neck. Can he make the move stick? He is too wide. He's way too wide. Cannot make it stick. Chaos as they try to navigate traffic there. Now Kenpachi Ramasama tries to look to the outside. The 49 goes to the inside of Biba. Side by side between the two of them. And now Biba trapped on the outside. And now Kenpachi is going to go back up into 7th. Biba slips back to the 8th spot. Yes, about nose to tail between the two of them. Oh! And now one lad has gone way off there. He's going to fall behind Vorm, fall behind Phantoms. So now, once again, one lad's starting to bleed off time, misses the apex again as they're coming on to Speedway Turn 1, leaves the inside line open, still struggling with the power down. Now he's got the power down. The rocket will fire away in a straight line, but he's lost so much time. Started on pole, and not even 20 minutes in, has already fallen out of the top 5 positions. One lad's clear. Oh, big hit to the outside wall by Kenpachi Ramasama. Is there damage? Yes, the car is destroyed. Hit the curb and shot in the outside wall. And this machine is horribly damaged. Completely derailed. And will have to stop to repair the machine. Meanwhile, at the front is still Derluki trying to keep Iris behind. Real quick, let's look at the tire life of these two. 49.8 here for Iris. For Derluki, 54. So Iris is doing much better at tire management right now than Derluki is. And I have to wonder how much of that is because Iris is in a car that's not taking as much speed into the corners. They don't have to be as aggressive on the brakes. Don't have to scrub off as much speed. Derluki is wide, coming on to Speedway Turn 1. But Derluki is in a well-balanced all-around car. Iris is in a car that is more focused on cornering. In that scenario, that means that Derluki has an advantage in the straights, but Iris is still close enough to negate that advantage partially and stay in Derluki's draft. I said in the prior stint I didn't have a lot of confidence in Derluki's ability to bring home the win because I didn't think he could make the tires last long enough. I still feel, but he ended up proving me wrong and won by a pretty significant margin in that stint. But I'm starting to feel the same way again. Right now, Iris and Derluki, assuming they're on the same strategy, Iris is absolutely destroying Derluki when it comes to tire life right now. Iris more diamonding out turn 1. Derluki slides. Here we are, side by side almost. Derluki really struggling out of turn 1. Iris coming around the outside as they go into the International Horseshoe. And as they come out, still side by side. But Iris is trapped on the outside as they go through the infield bend. And it looks to me like it's still Derluki for the moment. Thing is, Derluki's going to have to pit 1, if not 2 or 3 laps earlier than Iris. And Iris is just so much better on tire life that once Derluki pits, Iris is going to be able to put down a lap or 2 with no struggles whatsoever. Oh, big twitch. Iris had the inside line, but couldn't keep the power down. So Druluki holds the line. No side-by-side shenanigans as he goes through Speedway Turn 1. Not this time. So your leader is now BFL Striker in the bottom category. Those of you worried about that Porsche, well, this one lad has already fallen back to a distant 7th. Doesn't look like anyone put on sauce to start this run out, though. Everyone seemed to have medium or hard tires on. Just about 19 minutes into the stint. Do either of our leaders pit this time by? Real quickly, we look at Druluki's tire life. He is at 63.5%, but he's going to stay out for another circuit. Here comes Iris coming around the outside. Iris is going to try and wrap it around the long way around. They'll be able to go nice and deep into the braking zone. Contact between the two of them as they go into turn number 1. Could not make the move stick. Druluki puts the power down. He slides wide coming out of turn number 1. Through the dirt he goes. He goes in the dirt again. He's deep into the dirt. Iris is going to take the lead. Druluki is losing the handling of the car. Iris goes to the top now. And third place, Stratum has gone ahead and made a stop as well now. And now Iris leads. Their tires are at 60%, but they are going to have to pit this lap anyway due to tire life. I mean, not tire life, due to fuel. So both Iris and Druluki are going to have to pit at the end of this lap. Third place is AFMD Vorm, well down the grid. His tires at 62%. He's going to have to pit at the end of this lap more than likely. What of Queen Biba, who runs here in 4th? I believe this driver is probably running on, yes, they're on the harder tire compound. So I think it is very likely we'll see Queen Biba inherit the stint lead momentarily here. But look at this gap between Iris and Druluki now. It has gone all sorts of pear-shaped. It does not seem like Druluki has the ability to manage tires the way he wants. The gap has massively ballooned between himself and Iris. And both of our top 2, likely all of our top 3, will be pitting at the end of this lap. There we are, Iris and Druluki both ducking into the pits now. Vorm, I assume he'll be pitting this time also, so we're expecting Queen... Yes, Vorm's coming in the pits. So Queen Biba will be our 4th different driver to lead as they come across the line here. Sinarius is also going to pit out of the 5th position. Senarico will pit out of 6th. Rama will pit out of 7th. So everyone is on the same tire strap, mediums early on, except for Queen Biba. Biba throws on the hards. This strategy proved good for this car in Stint 1. Not so good in Stint 2, though, but we believe that Biba is on. Oh, and Druluki's dropped out! While in the pits, Druluki has dropped out! No! One of our race-winning contenders, and suddenly Druluki is out of it! We'll try to reach out to Druluki, see if he has anything he wants to say, but frustration. And this now puts Iris up into the 2nd spot, unopposed, no one around. The only bad news, though, is that Iris is in a car that has super handling focus. They do not have great straight line speed. If there are some drivers who are on a good strat to put together some finer laps, they will definitely run Iris down here. So for the first time, we have had a prototype entry dropout, and it was Druluki, the car that won in Stint 2. Queen Biba is your leader by a massive margin over HYR Iris, as Biba is running an alternate strategy on the harder tire compound, trying to cut out pit stops right now. For those of you who care about the bottom category, TBR Moki, this was the car that won the first 2 stints, but had what appears to be 2 accidents in the first 15 minutes, and has gone just about a lap down to this category. Yeah, almost a lap down to BFL Striker. So even if Moki figures out some incredible runs, there's no chance for Moki to run the gap down between himself and Striker. The only thing that might help, though, is that this car, Striker, had a massive accident in the prior stint and was more than a lap down to the TBR entry at the end of the prior stint. But that big gap that TBR entry had built up in GTO, all gone now. We look once again at Queen Biba. We are in a bit of a calmer period of this race, I say, as Vorm and Phantoms are still relatively close to each other. And then this one lad is trying to deal with Siderius just behind him. One lad really struggling here. We are going to go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break. We are going to ride on board for a full flying lap with Queen Biba, giving you an idea what a flying lap looks like when you're on this car running on the hard tire compound. We'll be back momentarily here at Daytona. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here at Daytona. Queen Biba is pitting 25 minutes into the event, and in the process, that will hand the lead over to HYR Iris. TBR Stratum is going to move up into second. So while one TBR entry, the GTO entry, is struggling, another TBR driver is flying with a top 3 run right now. This car has not been anywhere near the top 5 in the earlier 2 events. Keep getting caught up in instants with drivers. But now this car is finally getting to show some of the pace that we believed it actually had. Then you have 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th all on top of each other in this little mess. Phantoms, Vorm, Biba, One Lad, and Sinerius all on top of each other. Not exactly on top of each other, but all close enough to each other that just a little bit of chaos or even a little bit of strategy differential could really shake up their results and relative to each other. The interesting thing, Queen Biba just came out of pit lane, has fresher tires than this entire group right now, and that should be able to pay off in some good ways for them. This is this one lad in the lone Porsche in the field. This car won Stint 1, was way down the grid, dead last in Stint 2, middle of the prototype grid here in Stint 3. So I guess in a sense it's kind of balancing out. Yeah, for those of you asking about TBR Stratum, legitimately, I do not know what Stratum has done differently. He has minimized the amount of unnecessary fighting in the early laps, but he also pitted just a little bit earlier than everyone else, got some track position, ran some laps in clean air, has cycled out into the 2nd position. They do have a slight tire disadvantage by virtue of pitting earlier, but yeah, somehow they have ended up out here in the 2nd spot right now. So while one TBR driver is struggling, the other one is flying right now. One lad has actually gotten by Queen Biba using the sheer straight line speed of the car, so the Porsche cracks the top 5 once again, but it has been nothing short of a struggle session for this one lad. He still has to do this for about another 112 minutes. Queen Biba's not exactly going to let him go, but this has let the fight between One Lad and Biba has let Phantoms and Vorm scoot away just a little bit. Excuse me. So Phantoms and Vorm scooting away just a little bit from the rest of the field. So it looks like we have Iris comfortably in the lead, Stratum comfortably in 2nd, then Phantoms and Vorm in a bit of a stalking battle for 3rd and 4th. Then it is One Lad, Biba, and Cineris in a menage a trois fight for 5th. Then you have to go back a little farther back to see AMS Kapachi Rafasama and Sina Rinako fighting for 8th and 9th. Rama hangs out in 10th. 11th is AFZ Cypher. And that is the last of our running prototypes as H-Wire Druluki, who had been leading before dropping out, is out of the event. That is the second time that we have seen a leader drop out. Our only disconnects between our first 3 stints thus far have only been drivers who have been fighting for the lead. So a lot of shakeups going on here, at least in the prototype categories. And this one driver who really is benefiting from this is going to be this one here, the DMS entry of DMS Phantoms. This car came home 3rd in Stint 1, 2nd in Stint 2, and the winners in both Stint 1 and 2 have just had awful times since. Maybe Phantoms doesn't have to win this stint, but they might be able to put themselves into overall distance lead after this is over. All right, so real quickly, let's look at the tire life for everyone here on track right now. Give you an idea as to when everyone's going to pit next. 27% left on the tires for Iris for TBR Stratum. He is at 32.5%. DMS Phantoms is a little bit farther back. They are currently running at 31% tires. AFMG Vorm, who runs in the 4th position, is at 27.3% on their tire life. 5th place is this one lad. His tire life is stabilized at 34% right now, so likely on a softer tire compound. Queen Biba back here in the 6th position. Only at 10, we believe they are going back-to-back on the hard tire compounds right now, likely trying to go for a simple 3-stop strategy. 7th is Sinerius. And Sinerius in the LMP esports team, they're at 26.1% right now. 8th place is Kampachi Rambasama. They are at 42%, but reminder, they had that big accident into the outside wall coming out of the bus stop chicane earlier, so they're trying to recover from that. 9th place is Sina Rinako. Their tires are at 27.6%, so likely a harder tire compound right now. And then this is Rama, who is 10th, 27.2%, so also likely on a harder tire compound. Other thing to consider is that in the GTO category, 4 stops have been the way to go for everyone except for that TBR entry. So BFL Striker has already made 1 stop, but we anticipate they will likely make another one. There's a possibility that Moki might claw back and still finish with only 4 stops over the course of the race. So it may not be completely over for Moki. While I don't think a win is in the cards for him, I do think that TBR entry may still have a chance to make up ground, but everyone else has made at least 1 stop in the GTO category, and the gaps are nice and wide throughout all of that. Queen Biba being caught by Sinerius now. We're a little bit past 30 minutes into the run. I'm not exactly sure what I said that stunned you. I do apologize. Sadly, I am not rich enough to afford to give EpiPens out to anyone who may be allergic to any stings that go on in this chat. All right, it looks like Sinerius has worked their way around Queen Biba here. Around the outside. So Sinerius pulling away from Biba. Again, Biba is the only driver who seems to be on the harder tire compound. It looks like after 2 stints of a lot of strategy wildness, it looks like everyone except for this number 1, 2, 3 entry has kind of homogenized their strategies out a bit. So now it may just be a matter of who is actually better or worse on these strats. While Biba is able to stay in the draft to Sinerius, it's very obvious that they just do not have pace. And the thing is that Biba is here in 7th. Your leader and 2nd place are already down in turn 1 right now. Iris struggling a little bit to get by that Audi. Again, it's not an awful strategy, Biba, but it does seem like now that everyone's kind of figured out what the Wayne strategy is, if you're not on that Wayne strategy, I just don't see it playing out. TBR Stratum is gradually running the gap down between himself and Iris. But reminder, Iris has more fuel and is at 40% tire life. Stratum, who runs in second right now, has less fuel, is at 45.8% tire life. That's only about 1 lap of difference. But still, it seems like right now, Stratum is just a little bit faster than Iris. I don't think Stratum is going to be able to catch Iris before they pit. But it does seem to me that Stratum is faster than Iris right now. So 3rd through 9th all only have a few seconds between each other. Oh wait, what happened to Iris? Iris is slow. Iris is off track. Iris has crashed. Iris has had an instant coming out of the bus stop chicane. They're back underway. There's no damage, but Iris has had a spin coming out of the bus stop chicane. And all of a sudden, TBR Stratum has gone to the lead. Iris has had a spin coming out of the bus stop chicane. And the gap between 1st and 2nd massively balloons. Stratum goes to the lead by a gigantic gap now. So chaos and anarchy really playing havoc at the head of the field here at Daytona. One of our leaders drops out. Another one has a spin, although they'll be able to continue. And now Stratum goes to the top. It's going to be one of these stints, I guess. Wow, didn't see that coming. Kenpachi Ramasama going ahead and jumping into the pits now. But again, remember, Kenpachi Ramasama had that accident coming out of the bus stop chicane earlier, so his strategy, while I think it's similar to everyone else, he is a little bit offset at this stage of the event. Your leader is BFL Striker in the bottom category, leads over LMP Rock Shock by, I'll try to do a little bit of calculation here. 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004, 1,005, 1,006, 1,007. I'm counting by about 7 to 7.25 seconds is the gap right now between BFL Striker and LMP Rock Shock right now in the bottom category, the GTO category, as Striker is about to be overtaken there by Stratum, your overall leader in the prototype category. Again, Stratum will have to pit sooner rather than later. The tires are already at 54%. Crazy thing is, Iris, self-inflicted spin coming out of the bus stop chicane. They have lost a huge chunk of time. They're still good on tire management and fuel, but they are now behind the 8 ball and have to figure out a way to run down the gap between themselves and Stratum here. Queen Biba having a little bit of struggle there, fighting with AFMG Vorm and Signerius still. They'll be just about side by side, but Biba has the inside line on Vorm. Vorm trying to wrap it around the outside. Who's got the grip coming out of the corner? It looks like it's going to be Vorm who has the grip, I think. Someone has to back out as they come up to the bend. It's going to be Vorm. Vorm may have been fast, but he backed out. So Biba holds on to this position for a bit longer. Mind you, this one lad's only a little bit up the road from this group, and one lad has been absolutely struggling with their own handling of their car. Now it's Senna Renico trying to wrap it around the long way. Cannot make that stick. And I said it was Vorm. I'm sorry, it was not Vorm, it was Signerius. I apologize for that mistake. And Moki is already making their 3rd stop, only about 37 minutes into this run. Stratum paying out the lead. They're going to be 3 wide for a position as they come down to the bus stop chicane. Biba says, nuh-uh, you guys go do that. I don't want any part of that. These 2 wreck right in front of them. They get into each other right in front of Biba. Biba decides discretion is the better part of valor, and it was. 3 wide. Biba pulled out, and the 2 drivers that they were fighting with got into each other. Biba goes back in the 6th position. Discretion really is the better part of valor sometimes. Iris goes back to the lead as Stratum, Phantoms, and this one lad all go ahead and make their 2nd stop of the day. So this should cycle Biba back up into the 3rd position for a little bit here. Gap between Biba and Vorm is still pretty big. When is Vorm going to make their stop? Well, it'll probably be very shortly, maybe at the end of this lap or next lap. Iris is your leader. They can go 1, maybe 2 laps more on this set of tires and fuel. But the question for Iris is that while I think they've got the Wayne Strat, that self-inflicted spin earlier, it's likely going to derail things a bit for them. Interesting thing for Biba is that they've gotten by Riniko and Cyrus, but now already Riniko and Cyrus are back to fighting with each other, and they're now going to have to deal with Strat. They may have to deal with Strat depending on how much longer these drivers stay out here. Because I think Senna Riniko and Sinarius are almost cooked on their fuel and tires. Yeah, Senna Riniko will have to pit either at the end of this lap or next lap. And I think the same goes for Sinarius. So we're starting to see a lot of deviation. Oh, and that's a hook! Senna Riniko got ran to the back by Sinarius, but a big spin, doesn't hit anything, and he get going again. And Riniko is nice enough to jump off the throttle so as not to overtake. So as a nice no-hit spin there, they'll both be able to continue, but now they have lost even more time to Queen Biba, let alone AFMG Vorm, who is now slow, coming out of the hairpin. I wonder if Vorm may have missed the apex of turn 1 there. But Sinarius and Senna Riniko both lose a huge chunk of time, and all of a sudden they do have to deal with Stratum. We ride on board Stratum as he looks at the duo ahead. He loses 2. Senna Riniko and Sinarius are having a good fight. They're trying to be respectful of each other, but they're both too good, and they keep hitting each other. They nearly hit each other again. Here comes Stratum. Stratum now stuck right behind Sinarius. Nose to tail as they dive into the second infield hairpin. Side by side just ahead of him. Sinarius will complete the overtake on Senna Riniko, so Sinarius goes back up to 4th. Here comes Stratum. He clears Senna Riniko with no issue, but there's no way for him to easily clear Sinarius. This time he gets to the inside. Side by side as they come on in Speedway turn 1. Sinarius cuts down on Stratum. Stratum's still stuck behind. They'll have to navigate their way around some traffic here. Traffic won't be too much of an issue. That's an Aston that's slow. What happened there? Who is that Aston that is running so slow there? That's Cypher. Cypher is slow. What's going on with Cypher? Oh, that car is destroyed. The engine's still there, but everything else in that car is destroyed, so another prototype goes to the wayside. Iris and Vorm now pit out of the lead, so it looks like Queen Biba will go back to the lead once again here. But it is Sinarius trying to keep Stratum behind. Sinarius says, I've had enough. Sinarius will jump into the pit, and so will Senna Riniko. So Stratum will jump back up into the second position. Where's Stratum going to be in relation to Iris? That is the big question. Looks like Iris is still wrapping around the pit lane exit. There is Iris. You can see him on the left side of the screen. Stratum will be well clear of Iris. So Biba is leading, but on a radically alternate strategy, going really aggressively on the harder tire compounds. Everyone else seems to be locked onto a very, very similar strategies to each other. Stratum and Iris are your 2 likely overall leaders. Biba is the lone driver on a wildly alternate strategy. Sinarius, Senna Riniko, Rama, and AFC Cypher all going ahead and pitting. Mind you, Cypher was involved in some sort of accident just before making the stop, which has completely derailed their run. And the bottom category is still BFL Striker leading by about 7 seconds over LMP Rockshock, with Sleepy about another 15 seconds behind them. So now that we have gone through almost everyone's second round of pit stops outside of Queen Biba here, we're going to go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break. But while we do, I want to go ahead and ride on board for a flying lap on board with this Texaco car. I try to ride on board a lap with all the cars during these ad breaks if I can, just because it's a good thing. But I'm going to be honest, I really love this paint scheme. It is fantastic. I love everything about this number 211 black and red with a little bit of white Texaco paint scheme. So we are going to go ahead and ride on board for a flying lap with BFL Striker here around Daytona. We'll be back momentarily here at the high banks for TORA's 24 Hours Daytona here in the C Lobby Stint 3. well. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll welcome you back here at Daytona for the 24-hour Enduro by TORA here in the C lobby. Every single time we do a endurance stream here for TORA, there always seems to be one stint. That is the Chaos Stint, the Anarchy Stint, where every time it seems like we have an idea as to who the dominant guys are going to be, where everything's going to be, chaos happens and all unveils. This stint seems to be that stint for this event. BFL Striker, who was leading by about 7 seconds over LMP Rockshock, had an accident while we were under break. So Striker is now making a pit stop, and the leader of the GTO category now goes to the Audi of LMP Rockshock for the first time today. It is one of the Audis that are leading in the bottom category. This also works out well to help out with TBR Moki, because while they are a lap down to Rockshock right now, Rockshock has not yet made their final stop. They're likely going to stop in another lap or so. So the best drivers in the bottom category, the best cars and teams in the bottom category keep having accidents, and that's not the only one. Again, in the top category, I think Iris is the fastest driver, but they've already had one self-inflicted spin coming out of the bus stop chicane. That's given the lead to Stratum, so Stratum has a massive track position advantage, but I do not know if they are on the right strategy. They may have to compromise a little bit of track time to save tires, so there's still a possibility that these drivers come into each other. Also, let's talk about this one lad. He started on pole, fell all the way back to 7th in the first 20 minutes, but now that the field's spread out, he's kind of coming back to grips with the car. He's back up to 4th overall, 3rd on merit once you consider everyone who's made at least 2 stops. And then you have Queen Biba, the only driver on the classic TORA strategy, just trying to cut the race into even segments. Right now, they are about what we believe is 4 minutes away from making their second stop out of 3. They are maintaining a respectable lead over Stratum, but Stratum is eating that gap up rapidly here. So yeah, this has been the Anarchy stream, the Chaos stream, the stream of just sheer unpredictability today. It's been one of these days, it seems. Has the race finally calmed down a bit? This is a fight between AFMG Vorm and DMS Phantoms here for 5th and 6th positions. So as this is going on, we're starting to see a little bit more deviation in strategies. A lot of drivers ran their first down in the mediums, except for Queen Biba, who did hard. But since then, we're going to see a little bit more deviation. The only real big exception to that is going to be this man here, Kenpachi Ramasama. They were on track for that same strat, and they have gone to the dirt again. He's really struggling. But Kenpachi Ramasama here is on an alternate strat because they had an accident earlier, and they're basically trying to jump onto an alternate strategy to pull themselves up. But yeah, and again, I do want to mention one more time, the fight in the bottom category. Rockshock is your leader as he's jumping into the pits now. But Moki, who had started on pole and opened up a small gap early on, crashed at least twice, has fallen to dead last a lap down. So the dominant car in the bottom category is completely derailed. Second place, well, the driver who inherited the lead after that was BFL Striker. Striker had a 7.5 second lead on LMP Rockshock. Then he had a crash. He's had to make an extra stop. That's getting the lead over to RockShock. RockShock has only made his second stop now, just a little bit before the stint's halfway point. I think RockShock is going to try and make that 3-stop strategy work. DMS Sleepy here is coming around the outside. Sleepy is going to go 1 lap farther. So it is now Audi on Audi action. We talked earlier in Stint 1 that the Audis were just very hard to balance. You just could not make them competitive with the other cars. Well, it's taken some chaos and some accidents, but now it is an Audi 1-2 fight at the head of the field between DMS Sleepy and LMP RockShock in the bottom category. Queen Biba still has yet to pit in the top category, and they have Stratum to the inside, side by side. Biba is really wide, is not going to force the issue. So Stratum goes back to the lead here, but Biba is just a little bit behind Stratum. Has the draft, can utilize the draft to try and keep up with Stratum here. Stratum's not going to pit for a while. I think Biba is on a 3-stop strategy. Stratum is on a 4-stop. I believe the majority of the field is either going to be on a 4 or 5-stop. The 6-stop strategy has shown potential, but you have to be on top of it. You can't afford to have a single issue there. Stratum now pulling away bit by bit on Queen Biba, who we believe will be pitting at the end of this lap. Yeah, we'll have to pit this lap. 60% in the tires. And here comes the move into the pits. So this will also move Iris back up into the 2nd spot on circuit. Gap between Stratum and Iris. Well, it's kind of hard to tell because the fixed camera angles at Daytona 24-hour circuit are a bit busted. They don't always like to work. "1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004, 1,005, 1,006, 1,000. I think it's about 7 seconds between Stratum and Iris in Stratum's favor. Iris, I believe, has better tire management and a slightly better strategy, but Stratum has a ridiculous amount of track position advantage, and I think he has pace as well right now. So everyone has now made their 2nd stop, with the exception of, in the bottom category, current 2nd place DMS Sleepy, who is now being overtaken by RockShock. No, that's Striker, who has moved up to 2nd. So Sleepy, oh my goodness, Sleepy, what in the world? 75% on your tires. Oh my goodness, Sleepy, what are you trying to do? Well, whatever strategy Sleepy is on, he's losing and hemorrhaging so much time. I think it's basically derailed now. So this will actually put Striker back into 2nd after that accident he had earlier. So Striker now trying to run down on RockShock. The big thing, though, is that Striker is now going to be force committed to likely a 4-stop strategy. RockShock is on a 3-stop strategy. Striker is in a car that is arguably faster, but RockShock basically an entire pit stop ahead. And also RockShock, being in an all-wheel drive car, will have a massive advantage in cornering. So we are looking at a legitimate fight underway here for the bottom category. That was 7th and 8th place Sinarius and Senna Renico, who have both got into each other plenty of times throughout the day today. All right, so after making stops, Queen Biba's ended up 6th. This has cycled this one lad into 5th position on merit, although he is still struggling. DMS Phantoms hanging out in the 4th position. Depending on how the way the rest of this goes, this car might end up being in the overall lead once this stint is over. DMS Sleepy finally pits. Not sure what in the devil their strategy was, but they finally make a pit stop. Vorm runs in 3rd, just a little bit ahead of Phantoms right now. Stratum is your leader. Iris is 2nd. I really want to focus on this, though. Striker looking at RockShock ahead. So BFL versus LMP here. It's bringing a lot of chaos and anarchy to bring us to this point. But RockShock, while he is leading, putting the Audi in a position to actually fight for the overall win, Striker is trying to do the recovery drive after an accident earlier. I don't know who's going to get it between these two. Those Audis have just not been good, but RockShock is showing some potential. But Striker has arguably been a faster driver or a faster car, but he is basically well behind the 8 ball. Looks like most of the field has spread out now. This is really the only real fight going on at the moment. This is Rama as he's going to come up on the prototype leaders. Rama really hasn't had a lot of pace, but he has gotten by several drivers. Cypher, I'm not really sure this happened to Cypher. I probably missed... No, Cypher had an accident just before coming into the pits, if I remember correctly. Basically, had to limp all the way around. Kenpachi Ramasama had an accident a little bit later in the lap, but still, Rama right now is the highest rank of all the drivers who haven't been involved in a damage-inflicting incident. I wonder if Rama may be trying to run an alternate strategy, hoping to kind of get things back in their favor, but they are well behind Senna Renico, Sinerius, and Queen Biba right now. Meanwhile, we took our look once again to the GTO category. First and second, LMP RockShox and BFL Striker. The gap has visibly closed down. Throughout most of the day, basically after about 15 minutes into Stint 1, there's really been no fighting whatsoever for position. In the bottom category, just not enough cars, and the performance gaps have been massive. But that looks like it's about to change. Striker is trying to run down on RockShox. The Striker's got some worn out tires, not a lot of fuel in the car. RockShox, on the other hand, has better tires, a lot more fuel, but I believe they are running on the hard tire compound, trying to run really long. I believe Striker is running something closer to medium tires. So that is why Striker does seem to be faster right now than RockShox. Onto the straightaways. This is where the Audis really struggle. They just do not have a lot of top end. Big run. Here comes Striker to the outside. This will be an easy straight line speed overtake. No issue whatsoever. Striker goes back to the lead after crashing earlier, but Striker still has to put together more and more fast laps and try and overcome what will basically be an entire extra pit stop for him. Mind you, RockShox in that Audi will have great handling in the infield here, being in an all-wheel drive car. You can see how much the Audi closes back in on that Texaco machine coming out of the first of the infield hairpins. Go through the high-speed bend. And that 824 machine will be right underneath the Texaco car. As they come out of the second hairpin now. TBR Stratum paying out of the lead, so that will give the lead back to Iris now. Down the straight. The Audi has a run, but it's only draft induced. I don't think they're going to be able to make it work around the outside here. Out of the bus stop chicane. RockShox doing a good job just holding on to the draft, or trying to hold on to the draft with Striker. I think Striker's finally broken the draft, but still, even just a little bit of a draft will help the Audi lose a little bit less time. Overall, the Audi is just one of the slowest cars in a straight line. Kenpachi Ramasama already making their fourth stop of the day. AFMG Vorm has actually made their way up into second after Stratum's made their stop. DMS Phantoms have also gone ahead and made their third stop as well at this stage of the event. But your leader is Iris. Still has yet to pit, as we're now seeing a lot more strategy deviation. They're at 53% wear on the tire, so I imagine they might pit at the end of this lap. AFMG Vorm, who runs in the second position, about a third of a lap behind, honestly closer to about a quarter of a lap behind, has a little bit more fuel, but similar tire wear right now. Third place, Stratum has just recently put on fresh tires. And you have Sinerius, who's actually gotten by Queen Biba at this stage of the event. But Sinerius will likely have to pit in about 3 laps, maybe a little less. Queen Biba here, again, running an alternate strategy. We believe they are the only driver on the 3-stop. Everyone else is committing to 4 to 5 pit stops here. And also, Senna Renico has finally fallen off from Sinerius by a significant margin. It seems like everything's finally gone away. So Senna Renico back here in 6th. Rama currently runs in 7th place on circuit right now. Then 8th will be DMS Phantoms, who just recently pitted. 9th will be this one lad, who is also just recently pitted. 10th will be Kenpachi Ramasama, who's just trying to recover from that accident earlier. And then 11th, last of our running prototypes, is AFC Cypher. Striker barely leads over RockShox right now, but Striker will have to pit sooner rather than later, and RockShox is going to have the advantage of going right back to the lead once Striker makes his stop. Now, if Striker's going to pit at the end of this lap, it will be 40 minutes left. I do not see that being enough for Striker to go to the end without making another stop. We could see Striker potentially throw on medium tires, or if he's really feeling great, soft, but I feel like medium is going to be the way to go. If he can go medium, he should be able to try to run down RockShox, especially just because the Audi is not a very competent car. Nothing against the drivers, nothing against the officials, but it's so hard to balance all-wheel drive cars in general. I think it can happen here. AFC Cypher in 11th. Coming out of the pit lane, so they are making their third stop. We are still anticipating one more stop from them. Likely will come around 20 minutes left in the stint. BFL Striker finally out of pit lane. He is well clear of DMS Sleepy, who is running third overall. DMS Sleepy, another driver trying to make the three-stop strategy work. The other Audi. And you have BFL Colin way back here in 15th, who also is making his third stop now, so he'll likely make a fourth stop about 20 minutes left in the stint as well. We look once more at HYR Iris. When are they going to go ahead and make their third stop? It's going to have to be now. They are almost out of fuel. What about AFMG Vorm? Are they going to pit this time? Absolutely. So that should hand the lead back over to Stratum here. No, Vorm has not. Well, we don't know. Well, we're going to have to go to a Twitch-mandated ad break, but we will return momentarily here at Daytona. We're going to ride on board for a flying lap with TBR Stratum as he is trying to make something happen against HYR Iris and be our third different winner in 3 stints in the prototype category. We'll be back momentarily here at Daytona. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Daytona as we are currently riding on board here with TBR Stratum, who is your leader at the moment. Leads by several seconds over HYR Iris, as Stratum and Iris have now deviated on their strategies. Biba has cycled back into third position on their own alternate strategy. We are anticipating one more stop out of them before this event is over. Stratum and Iris, we think one more stop. It may be possible that one of them does 2 more stops, but we're expecting only 1 more stop from that duo right now. Someone is slow there on the infield. That is AFZ Cypher. who has had a spin, an accident. Oh my goodness, this car is in a bad shape. Has even T-boned. The amount of damage that the right side of the car has, the left side of the car has, I wonder if he put the power down, spun coming out of the corner, and then as he was coming down the bank and got hit in the door. That's a lot of damage. No damage here. I'm waiting to see if anyone ducks into the pits this time by, because if so, I would assume that that would be a driver who hit him. DMS Phantoms is in the pits. Is this the driver? Yes, Phantoms has speared. Phantoms is the one. And this was the car that I was saying earlier is likely going to end up in the overall lead. Check Colin for damage. Okay, I can check Colin for damage also. Maybe Colin was involved in it also. He's just gone by pit entry, so no, Colin's not pitted for damage anytime recently. He's been out here for a little bit, so no, he's not been involved. But it looks like, I missed it, but it looks like AFZ Cypher spun coming onto Speedway Turn 1, and while his left side was exposed to oncoming traffic, DMS Phantoms ran to him from the side. This is going to be really problematic for DMS Phantoms because that entry, this car, was honestly in position to maybe be an overall lead with the pace that they were going. And now they have been cycled down to 10th. This also puts Queen Biba in a very, very large gap between themselves and AFMG Vorm for 4th. So all of a sudden, Queen Biba on this alternate strategy is starting to look good again. And I don't know who's going to be the overall leader. Now after this, is it going to be Iris? This car was like all the way down in 9th at the end of Stint 1. It might be Vorm. Maybe Vorm. I don't know. This car was also way down the grid at the end of Stint 1. And then this entry from Stratum actually was a lap down at the end of Stint 2. So I don't know who's going to be leading in the prototypes coming out of this stint. Meanwhile, in the bottom category is still RockShock, who leads in the Audi. Tires are burning up. He still has some fuel in the car. We've got about 34 minutes left, so I imagine he'll pit in about 2 laps or so. We'll pit, throw on another set of hards, and just go to the end on that 3-stop strategy. BFL Striker had been leading, but crashed out of the lead. He did briefly retake the lead, but he is locked into an alternate strategy that just does not look like it's going to work right now. So there is this distinct possibility that even though this Audi is one of the slowest cars in the field, we may still see RockShock get the win just off the back of taking what is honestly an awful scenario, a really bad car, just not a very competitive way. This circuit is just not good for the Audi. I cannot stress enough, this is not a knock on the drivers. This is not a knock on TORA staff. This is not a knock on anything like that. This is just not a good car-driver combination. And right now, yes, fate has definitely fallen in his case, but RockShock has taken lemons and the little bit of sugar that has been given to him and is making some Southern lemonade out of it. I don't really like Southern lemonade. I think it's disgusting if you're putting sugar in lemonade, but RockShock is making some Southern lemonade out of this run right now. There's a very distinct possibility that he pulls off this win in this Audi. And that, coupled with Striker's accident, and then the fact that Moki is well over a lap down, someone's had an accident. Is that Colin? Has Colin had a crash this time? No crash, but he is slow. He is off pace. Wonder if he had a spin and I missed it. Well, still, I don't really know who's going to be leading in either of these categories. This third stint has been absolutely anarchic, it feels like. And there's still 32 minutes left. There's still plenty of time for more weirdness to happen here. This is AFZ Cypher, who's been involved in several instances at this point. Just would like to see this entire mess get done and over with now. They're about to go a lap down to TBR Stratum. And again, Stratum and Iris are now on alternate strategies. I believe Stratum is going for more runs on the softer tires. Iris is doing more runs on the harder tires. So I imagine we'll see Stratum probably finish with like maybe 5 stops. And Iris, I think, will be closer to 4 stops with the way this is going. Stratum has definitely had the pace advantage, but Iris has been way better at managing tires. The thing is that Iris at one point had the track position advantage, a massive track position advantage at that, but then had a self-inflicted spin coming out of the bus stop chicane. In a bit of a calmer stage of this race right now, finally, considering that the first, hour of this stint was just absolute chaos and anarchy. As now Stratum finally is going to put AFC Cypher a lap down. About 30 minutes left. I'm expecting RockShox to pit at the end of this lap. He may choose to go a lap longer, but I feel like the best strategy for him would be to pit at the end of this lap. He's got still about a third of a lap, maybe about closer to a quarter of a lap over Striker, but Striker is also going to have to pit one more time, we imagine. Yeah, Striker is likely going to have to pit at the end of this, so is Striker going to throw on? If Striker pits now at the end of this lap, is he going to throw on the harder tires and try to do these last 30 minutes solo? Oh, well, RockShox stayed out another lap. So RockShox and Striker both are just turning laps right now on very worn out tires. But again, these two are kind of in their own zone. Striker a little bit better on tire life, but he's down to 3.8% fuel. RockShox has a lot more fuel, but his tires are in a much, much worse position. So RockShox could pit the lap after this one and still go around, but he'd just be slow. Striker's going to have to pit at the end of this lap. And now we're down to 28 minutes left. Again, I imagine if you're these drivers, now obviously the bottom category, assuming they're also running the race tire compounds, they're not as fast. You're not going to burn up the tires as fast. You could probably jump onto the hard tires and not have too much of a problem going forward. And if Striker wants to make sure he only pits one more time, and then RockShox also only pits one more time. If they both put on hard tires, I would imagine this technical machine is the faster of the two cars. But the gap between them is still so bloody massive. Another thing to note is that Queen Biba, who is running in third position, still has yet to make their third stop. So I imagine that they're going to do the same thing that this car has done the prior stints. Hard, medium. Hard, medium. I imagine their final stop, they're going to try and make it go to the end on the medium tires, try to find some extra pace near the very end. We'll see. If they pit at the end of this lap, they're probably going to put on hards again. They've been able to make the hard tires go about 25 minutes. So we're at 27 and a half to go. They pit the lap after this one that they're about to end. There'll be about 26 minutes left. When they come out pit lane, it'll be about 25. So if they pit at the end of this lap, they should be good to me. All right, RockShox and Striker both pitting at the exact same time. Oh, was that Boiled Bird on the... No, that wasn't Bird. Who was that? Was that Colin? That was Colin who hit the inside wall there. No, damn it, the Colin's just been having a bad time of it. All right, RockShox out of pit lane. He's got 80% in the fuel tank, fresh tires, and you'll run that to the end. Striker coming out of pit lane as well now. He's got 30% in the fuel tank. That can't be right. Striker just committing to a 5th stop. Maybe Striker's committing to a 5th stop. Does Striker think that RockShox's not gonna... Does he think that RockShox is not gonna make it to the end? And think that RockShox may need to make an extra stop? Or is he just kind of giving up and saying, screw it, instead of going for a crazy outlandish strategy, I just need to turn good laps? Okay, Stratum pits out of the lead. Iris is going to go back to the head of this field here with 26 minutes to go. Again, you could put on hard tires now and not pit again. You'd be hurting, you'd be slow, but you would not have to pit again. We're going to go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break here. Well, no, actually, I'm going to try and play this game a little bit. I'm going to hold off on this ad break a bit and try and make it to where I only need to do one more ad break between now and the end of the stint. So no, we're going to stay here just a little bit longer. I want to see if we can catch a few more drivers making their stops. Speaking of which, someone is coming in. That is BFL Colin, last place of our DTO category right now. Two, 1,003, 1,004, 1,005, 1,006, 1,007, 1,008, 1,009, 1,010, 1,011, 1,012, 1,013, 1,014, 1,015. Well, I think the gap between RockShox and Striker, if I'm counting it right, is going to be like 15, 16 seconds right now. I think Striker is probably just giving up and saying, screw it, I'd rather just take a few extra runs, get some good laps in on the soft tires, I guess. One lad and Kapachi Ramasama both pitting this time by, although one lad's already coming out of pit lane. So Sineris briefly cycles up into the 5th position. Vorm holds on to 4th, but it's really just a fight between Iris, Queen Biba, and Stratum. Iris leads. Biba still has yet to make their final stop. The gap between Iris and Biba is absolutely massive. I think realistically it's just going to be Iris versus Stratum, and we do not know if Stratum is put on the hardest compounded tires and is just going to run this to the end. The amount of fuel suggests that may be the strategy. Or is Stratum going to go ahead and try to pit? All right, here comes Biba. Biba's going to pit with about 24 minutes left. So Biba will likely come out. They can probably put on the medium tires if they so choose, find a little bit of extra pace to try and close in a bit on the drivers around them. But they are going to end up behind AFMG Vorm and likely behind Sinerius and Senna Renico. I think we'll still be ahead of this one lad, though. Still waiting on when Iris is going to come in to make their final stop. 50% on that right rear. A little less than 12% left in the tank. Probably could stay out for another lap or two. If they pit with 20 minutes left, they could throw on the mediums and go to the end. I think that might be the strat. Oh, big twitch by Iris going into the bus stop chicane there. DMS Phantoms was now been their 6th stop. DMS Sleepy finally jumps into the pits as well. Although Phantoms hasn't been on the 6-stop strategy willfully, that was more of a literally everything has gone wrong for that car in that entry scenario. As now Iris is being held up by AFZ Cypher. Cypher, big slide right in front of Iris. Same category traffic is some of the most frustrating to get around, and for Iris even more so, because Iris is in a car that does not have sheer top end. This is a car that is really good on handling and tire preservation. It is not a great car when it comes to sheer speed in a straight line. Oh, gets right into the side and just muscles Cypher off the racing line. Says, get out of here, I am the leader. A little bit of physicality going on. Iris is struggling with some worn out tires right now. Doesn't have that much fuel in the tank though, so they're putting down some decent laps there. They're trying to make it to when they pit, they'll be ahead of Stratum, or very close to Stratum, because I believe that Stratum has put on the hardest tire compound with the full fuel load. They are just planning to not pit again. They're trying to make this four-stop strategy work on the Mercedes. We've seen the four-stop strategy work with other cars. We've just not seen it work on the Mercedes yet. Will it work here for Stratum? Iris is also going to be on a four-stop strategy, but their four-stop strategy is going to turn out just a little bit different, obviously. DMS Phantom pitting again. Has there been damage? Oh my goodness, another accident. Phantom has had a tremendous accident, has destroyed the rear of the car. So Phantoms, who this car finished third in stint 1, second in stint 2, and I was saying, while they weren't going to win this stint, they looked like they were going to be the overall distance leader. They're likely going to be last or next to last here. They are now a lap down, easily a lap down, even behind Kapachi Ramasama right now. And AFC Cypher, two other drivers who have had accidents. So it's just gone from bad to worse for that DMS entry. Your leader is still Iris right now, waiting to see when they will go ahead and duck it into pit lane here. Again, if Iris pits at the end of this lap, they could throw on, instead of medium tires, go to the end, no problem. They are a decent distance ahead of Stratum on track. Stratum's not going to have any tire falls, but they just do not have pace right now on that harder compound tire. I think this might be enough for Iris to bring this home, even with that spin earlier. Yeah, here comes Iris into the pits now, so we're going to keep an eye on Stratum. How close is Stratum going to be to Iris? Once Iris completes their pit stop, Stratum is onto the back straightaway right now, going through the bus stop chicane this time. Mind you, just behind Stratum is AFMG Vorm, but Vorm is another driver who's going to have to pit at the end of this lap, so Vorm's not seriously going to put Stratum under any threat this time by. Iris is already rolling down pit lane. They've already completed their stop. Stratum still has not yet made it to turn 1. Out of turn 4. Flying down the straightaway. Now already Stratum is in the tri-oval, but Iris is already down in turn 1. Now Stratum comes down into turn number 1. Iris is already coming out of pit lane. Stratum has the power down coming out of turn 1. You can see Iris to the left. He's going to clear Iris. Stratum by Iris. But now Iris is relatively close to Stratum, and Iris is going to have a massive tire advantage to the end here. 60% left in their fuel tank. For Stratum, 60% as well. So they're even on fuel, but Iris is on a softer tire with less wear. Iris is going to be significantly faster than Stratum here. Okay, with this in mind, we're going to go ahead and knock out a Twitch-mandated ad break here. And we will come back. And when we come back, we'll be here to the end of the race. We're going to ride on board with Iris. We're going to follow Iris. I'm not going to ride on board. We're just going to follow Iris as Iris tries to cut down the gap between himself and Stratum. We'll be back momentarily here at Daytona. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Daytona. About 16 and a half minutes left. We are watching as Iris is running down on Stratum. Iris is on a softer tire. They both have roughly the same amount of fuel. We anticipate that Iris should be able to blow by Stratum without too much issue here. But the thing is that Stratum should not be dealing with any tire fall off to the end, while Iris will be dealing with quite a bit of tire fall off. That is our prediction here. But it may not matter. Because with 16 minutes left, Iris has caught Stratum. Now, the big thing is that Iris is in a car that does not have a lot of top end. Stratum is in a car that's a little bit more balanced all the way around. So if Iris is going to get by Stratum, it's either going to be going really deep under braking, catching Stratum completely off guard, or in the infield. I think it might come here. Iris might try to outbrake Stratum here, going into the bus stop chicane. He's close enough. Is Iris going to... Well, Iris might be a she. Iris is close enough. Are they going to be able to make it work? No, not that time. Big twitch over the curbs. Still behind Stratum, still close enough to get a draft. The fight for the lead is on once again. Going the long way around. BFL Striker there. Striker, who we anticipate will be making another stop shortly himself, as he's basically given up on trying to run down Rockshock, who is your leader in the bottom category. Boy, Iris gets right under Stratum's rear wing, and then they fire it out of the corner. Run down into the first hairpin. Not close enough to throw it up the inside of that 697 machine, and then they fire it back out. Down to the high-speed bend. Still not enough for Iris. Iris is able to pressure Stratum, but has not been able to get alongside. The thing is that Stratum is only going to get faster, not massively faster, but slightly faster as this goes on. Iris legitimately runs the risk of losing time the longer this fight goes on by burning up tires. They are side by side in GTs in front of them. Stratum's gonna go the long way around, and Iris will follow. They made it work, and now Iris goes to the outside. So are they side by side? They're gonna try and be side by side as they come out of the corner. Not quite, but Iris is right there behind Stratum. Now Iris goes to the outside of Stratum. Neck and neck, side by side for a lead. Iris will try and complete the overtake. He does! Iris to the lead! Cypher has had a spin coming out of Speedway, turn 2, farther back, but Iris to the lead over Stratum. We'll try to see what happened to Cypher here as he is limping around now. Again, incredible front end damage. He's around and into the wall again. Whatever has happened to Cypher, this is like the 4th different accident he's had thus far. It's just gone from bad to worse for Cypher. That's Queen Biba just ahead, just behind, who's going to be trying to get by and hopefully not be involved in any mess that they have. That car ahead is heavily damaged. Biba needs to hope that they stay out of the way. All right, and Biba will be able to make it stick. Biba is a respectable distance over AFMG Vorm, so there is still a possibility that Biba pulls off a podium out of all this. But your leader now is HYR Iris. Had a big lead earlier, but a self-inflicted spin nuked it, but they are on a strategy that has put them back in the front. They're at 21.4% tire wear right now. Stratum is at 30.6% tire wear right now. So while Stratum still has more tire wear, the gap between them when it comes to tire wear has stayed steady at about 10%, if not slightly dropping in Stratum's favor. The big problem, though, is that Stratum is on these harder tires, so he just doesn't have a whole lot more speed he's going to pick up as he burns off his fuel load. And both of these cars are going to be burning off their fuel load at similar paces. I think Iris, unless they end up in another self-inflicted accident, might still be able to walk off with this stint win. About 12 minutes to go as our leaders come across the start-finish line again. If you do the math, that's about 8 laps or so. Anyone pitting now will probably just throw on the soft tires and run the softs to the end here. And I think most of the field has already done their final stops now. This one lad, running in 5th, we talked a lot about him early on. He started on pole, fell all the way back to 7th. There's a bit of a twitch there. fell all the way back to 7th, but then recovered. Big thing here is that I look at this one lad, he's at 15.6%, 15.5% in fuel. Now, the Porsche doesn't burn through its fuel tank very fast, mainly just because it's just a gigantic bloody fuel tank, and it's a very lightweight car to begin with. And then add to it that this car normally gets BOP'd by putting a power restriction down. This car may not have to pit again before this stint is over. But he has definitely been struggling. A 5th place result is going to feel like a bloody win for this one lad. And then up the road a little bit from him is AFMG Vorm. Vorm is fine on tires and fuel to the end. Then you have Queen Biba, who is in 3rd. Biba's big thing is they are still running on this harder tire compound, hoping that the track position will be enough to keep them ahead of AFMG Vorm and one lad, who are both gradually closing down on Biba. Iris has fallen behind Stratum. We've missed it. Has Iris had a self-inflicted spin again? Iris may have had another self-inflicted spin, and Stratum's back into the lead. Now, mind you, Stratum is still on the harder tire, so they're still way slower. But again, Stratum back in the lead. Iris has had another self-inflicted mistake. Stratum back to the top again. It's also just about put Rama in 9th a lap down. TBR Moki making what is going to be their 5th stop of the day. Good lord. And yeah, I look real quickly at RockShox here. RockShox continues to just kind of cruise. He has such a massive gap on 2nd now, even if he deals with some significant tire fall off in these last 9 laps. 9 minutes. We are now in the last 10 minutes of this stint here. Even if he starts experiencing some major tire fall off, it's just not going to matter. The gap he has is ridiculous. As long as RockShox does not end up in an accident, we are going to see the Audi win at Daytona, which I don't think anyone was anticipating, at least not in the C lobby coming into this. That is Vorm going by. And that's one lad who's going to have to try and go the long way around. Phantom's pitting again. This is going to be their 8th pit stop. But they had another accident. No, they've just burnt up their fuel and tires. So they'll probably throw on softs to the end, but 8 pit stops for Phantom. My goodness, somehow, despite that, they're still ahead of Cypher, despite having to make 2 more stops. That just really goes to show like how bad of a time these drivers at the back have had. Meanwhile, look back at the front. Stratum leads, but Iris is cutting the gap down again. The thing is that Iris is now on more worn tires. They burnt off some fuel load, but they're on more worn tires. 35.7 is in the rears. Stratum's, granted, he is on a harder tire compound. He's at 40.8. So Stratum is still on the worst tire with more wear on it. But does Iris have the time to run him down? About 8 minutes left. This one lad making a stop late. Oh. So one lad must have figured they didn't have the fuel to go to the end. And they're going to end up behind Cinerius and Senorenico. So I think this will probably lock one lad into 7th unless Cinerius or Senorenico have an instant. I believe these 2 drivers are fine on fuel and tires to the end. Yeah, 48, they'll be fine on fuel to the end. And Senorenico, 38, these 2 will be fine on fuel to the end. So the top 5 potential has been derailed for this one lad here. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007. I calculate about 7 seconds difference right now between Stratum and Iris. I said this at the end of the prior stint. If we see Stratum here catch Iris catch Stratum at about a second per minute, he'll be at Stratum but won't be past him. But if it's more than that, he'll get it. Coming out of the infield, now onto the straight once again. Stratum having to navigate his way through a little bit of traffic right now, but catching traffic in a straight line, not a problem for the prototypes. It's only really a problem if you catch them in the corners. And he just did. Caught. Has to go the long way around as that 697 machine. Iris is going to be a lot luckier. They'll catch all this traffic in a straight line. No problem for them whatsoever. Problem is, the gap is still so big, Iris cannot see Stratum on track yet. There's Striker there. That is Rama just ahead. Rama's been running in 9th. Rama's just been slow, but honestly, being slow might be better than being involved in so many accidents like the drivers behind him have been. Oh, and as I said, Rama goes off in the hairpin. That's a little bit less traffic now. They'll have to deal with. 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004, 1,005, 1,006. I think it's down to about 6.5 seconds. I don't think Iris is catching Stratum at the rate he needs to. While the gap is still closing between the top two. We've seen Iris get by Stratum once before. Time might be running out for Iris. And there's going to be a little bit more traffic between this duo here. That is 11th place AFZ Cypher, and this Aston Martin, who has been involved in several instances over the course of the race, just ahead. Still, traffic is just about non-existent now for Stratum going forward. There is one more car directly ahead. That is 8th place AMS Kenpachi Ramasama. But I think Kenpachi Ramasama should be in a position that you don't have to worry about going a lap down. Tires are fine. Fuel is fine. A reminder, Stratum is on the hardest tire compound. So that it's not like they're running around at a ridiculously high pace. And yeah, that gap is closing, but it is not closing enough. So as long as Stratum doesn't have a self-inflicted mistake, this is going to end in Stratum's favor. I think he's going to pull this off. His tires are finally in the 50% range, though. But the thing is, for HYR Iris, their tires are also at 49.8%. So their tires are just about equaled out when it comes to tire wear. Now it is 50%. So yeah, they'll be equal on tire life by the end of this lap. To think, Iris had actually gotten by Stratum, had blown by him and opened up a gap, but a self-inflicted spin, sadly, we missed the second one, but a self-inflicted incident, and Stratum's back in front of Iris. So while Iris has been the faster driver, has been better on tire management, Stratum looks like they're going to end up on top just off the back of minimizing mistakes. This has been the chaos stint. Almost every time we cover a TORA event here on this channel, there always seems to be one stint that is just the chaos stint, the anarchy stint, the stint where there's just pure insanity all the way through. This seems to be the stint today. Stint C, absolute madness. And I'm gonna be honest, in both categories, I have no idea who is going to be leading. Overall, I think the TBR entry in GTO might still barely be leading, but it's gonna be really hard to tell. The thing is that if I look at the bottom category, Rock Shock has put Boiled Bird, Moki, and Colin a lap down, but Rockshock was like a long way off of Moki, so I don't know who's going to be overall leading in the bottom category. I think it'll be the TBR team. In the top category, I have not a single clue who's going to be overall leading at the end of this stint. Gap continues to close down, but the thing is, Stratum is catching traffic, but it's GT traffic, easy overtake in a straight line. Iris has caught prototype traffic now. With 2.5 minutes left. Oh, and that acid into the dirt. Iris has to try and go around the outside. Can't. Deny. Not like the acid's trying to be a pain or anything. But the acid was already committed to that line. Undercut. And now Iris is by. Oh, and Vorm has gotten by Biba. So Biba on these worn out harder tires, or on medium tires, is falling off in pace now. AFMG Vorm scoots by here in the very closing moments. 54.6% tire wear for Vorm. For Biba, it is 53.9. So Biba has a slight tire advantage, but still, Vorm was able to run Biba down, catch him and get by with less than 2 minutes left. Unless Vorm makes a mistake, I think Vorm is going to lock out a podium result here. 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004. It's about 4 seconds between Stratum and Iris with just 1 lap left. Again, unless Stratum gets caught up in someone's mess, he's got this. Thing is, there is still traffic ahead. That is the 8th place driver, AMS Kenpachi Rampasama. But he's good on fuel. His tires aren't great, but he's good on fuel. He should be fast enough in a straight line to keep from going a lap down here. Iris has got to be so frustrated. You can see Stratum. Yes, Ed, he's close enough. You can see the distinct colors on that car. But 2 self-inflicted spins, and that's going to be enough to just derail it for him. Around the banking this time, once again. Seven seconds left. 6 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Over. Plow. Oh my goodness. Iris goes way off and into the outside wall. That was a complete lockup. Yeah, Iris killed the car jumping into the stop like that. But your stint winner will be Stratum. Second place will be HYR Iris. Third place will be AFMG Vorm, who nipped that final podium spot over this driver here, Queen Biba. 5th place in the end, somehow, this one lad got by both Sinerius and Senorinico. I missed that, but this one lad, despite that awful start earlier, recovered and got home to a top 5 result. AMS Kenpachi Ramasama will be last of the prototypes, finishing on the lead lap. 9th place will go to Rama. 10th will go to DMS Phantoms, who had to pit 8 times over the stint, the most we have seen thus far. 11th will go to AFZ Cypher, who has been involved in so many incidents. And your winner in the bottom category is an Audi. It's LMP Rockshock who wins. 13th will be BFL Striker, and that Texaco machine. 14th will be DMS Sleepy. So a 1-3 result for the Audis. TBR Moki recovers from 2 accidents early on to come home to a 4th place finish, although still a lap down. 5th will be Boiled Bird, 88. And 6th and last will be BFL Colin, 94. HYZ Derluki will be classified as a did not finish. And with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and go to a Twitch-mandated ad break. And when we come back, we will try to get some post-stint interviews with some of our top finishers in our categories. We'll be back momentarily here at Daytona. All right. Coming to the party right now is DMS Sleepy. Sleepy, are you able to hear me? Hello. Yeah, awesome. Real quick, Striker, are you able to hear me also? All right, I'm gonna start with Sleepy just because he got in here first. Sleepy, in the Xbox party, there should be a little box to check. It will say include my audio. Can you go ahead and hit that for me?
Yep, done that.
All right, Sleepy, a solid run brings the Howdy home to a third place result. What do you have to say about that run, considering it was just pure anarchy all around you today?
It was good. A lot to be kind of sought after. I tried a 3-stop strategy, but it kind of backfired with the extended amount of times on the wrong tire. A lot learnt, so hopefully I'll take all the stuff I learned from this stint into my next stint and do even better.
All right, who's going to be taking over for that car in Stint 4?
I believe it's DMS Green Echo, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, we'll be keeping an eye on them then. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us. Good job out there. And now I want to go ahead and talk with our second place finisher in GTO category, BFL Striker. Striker, same thing as Sleepy. Go ahead and make sure your audio is included. Frustration. You were one of the best drivers out there. You had a giant lead, then an accident, and the best you come up with was a distant second. What do you have to say about your run out there today, Striker?
I'm bored of seeing prototype-shaped dents in the side and back of my car. I'm not gonna comment on the second crash until I've rewatched the clip so I can have a clearer head on it. But yeah, it's annoying that you're leading and then the next thing you're in the tire wall. I did what I could. I think I've got the strategy wrong. Like, we pit 2 more times than the winner. Like, I can't make that up.
Yeah. All right. Well, still, it was a reasonable run. Your team has made some recovery now. Who's going to be taking over this car for the next stint?
It's going to be Floppy Disk Hero.
All right. Well, we will be keeping an eye on Floppy Disk Hero. And I'll be really interested to see where things turn out for him. But Striker, thanks for jumping in and talking with us. I look forward to hopefully seeing your team do a little bit better in the next few stints.
I'm hoping so too, man.
All right. If you're done with an interview, please leave the party just so Xbox parties don't crash. I'm going to go ahead and try to talk with AFMG Vorm. Vorm, are you able to hear me? All right. In the Xbox party, there will be a little box to click that will say include my audio. Please go ahead and hit that.
There we go.
All right. Vorm, very interesting time from you. You weren't right at the head of the field, but you were constantly fighting it out in the top 3-4 positions. Came home with a great move for third position with about 2 minutes left. What do you have to say about your run out there today?
Look, reasonably happy with it. Could have been better. Could have been worse. So we're just happy to be consistent.
Yeah, I think consistency is the big thing. I'll be 100% honest, this stint was so chaotic. I don't really know who out of everyone in C Lobby is going to be ahead. I think it might be you guys. I would not put money on that, but I think your team might be overall ahead right now out of all of the C Lobby guys right now. I think.
We'll see what happens.
All right, I do want to ask who's going to take over for the car in Stint 4.
AFMG Land Shoes will be running Stint 4 for us.
All right, Landeshoes, Landsohes.
LANCHOOS. So
Okay.
Yep. No, he'll be taking over Stint 4. So yep. Good luck.
All right, we'll be keeping an eye for them. Vorm, thanks for jumping in and talk with us. You had a pretty solid run out there today.
Thanks, mate.
All right, and now I want to talk with TBR Stratum, your stint winner. Stratum, are you able to hear me?
Hey, Insane Leader. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I hear you. Were you able to include your audio in the party?
I have.
All right, awesome. Stratum, that stint was insane. Dorluki seemed to have the win. He crashed out. You seemed to go to the front. Then Iris caught you. Iris spun out. You go back to the front. Iris caught you again. Spun out again. You're back to the front again. Somehow you pull off a win by only about 3-4 seconds. What do you have to say about that? Because that was crazy to watch.
Yeah, it was really fun. That's what we do. We race to have fun, and I had a hell of a time. Me and Iris were going at it. We weren't like battling, but different strategies. I think he finished 23 feet behind me in the end. So yeah, super fun.
All right, it was a fantastic drive. I'm going to be honest, same thing I said to Vorm. I have no idea where everyone is ordered up right now, but we've had 3 different winners in the first 3 stints. Who's going to be taking over that car for stint 4, though?
That's me. I'm literally in the Discord, in the lobby now. So yeah.
Oh, well, in that case, I should go ahead and let you go right now. Good luck out there. Maybe you can be the first repeat winner in the prototype category for the C lobby today.
Fingers crossed.
All right, that's the word from TBR Stratum. And with that in mind, we are going to go ahead and wrap up our broadcast here for the C lobby stint. But don't you worry, after I end this broadcast for stint 3, I will almost immediately start up the stream for stint 4. But until then, I've been your host for today's broadcast, Insane Layer 13. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Farewell and goodbye, everyone.